All right, guys, Shelby here on YouTube. I'm gonna try and do this in one video take, so bear with me. Basically, I'm gonna go over everything that I plan to do to the car and break it down since things have changed a little bit. You guys have followed the build this far, and we are getting closer and closer to kind of what I want and what I envision. And let's go ahead and check out the car a little bit. So right now, the car's in a really good spot. I got to take it out autocrossing and really see what she could do. And it's been just kind of an eye-opener as to what the potential of this car is. And I really want to go ahead and see what I can get out of this thing and build it to exactly what I want. So let's go over a little bit of the build list and what it may consist of. Just a quick rundown. I've got a 2006 9871 Cayman S with a 3.4 liter flat six, 6-speed manual, rear-wheel drive, and yeah, she's pretty sweet. Been a fun car, and we've got a lot of stuff on it already, but you guys can watch my previous videos to see exactly what's all on this thing, and actually a lot of it will probably be going for sale too as I go ahead and upgrade items like the front bumper and things like that. So let's get started with the list. All right, so you guys will see the list down over here or up here on the video, or here, wherever I end up putting it. But I'm gonna go ahead and read down one by one and just kind of go over what all is gonna go on this car. All right, pretty funny. I always find myself when I edit my videos that I'm looking at myself on the screen instead of at the actual camera lens, so I'm gonna work on that too. But let's start with number one on the list, which is, and I broke these down into three categories: visual, just looks, kind of how I want the car to look and stuff that makes it look aesthetically pleasing to me and the build that I want. Handling, so things that affect just the way the car drives and some of the handling characteristics. And then engine performance and engine mods. So some of them are overlaps and probably in the wrong area, but disregard that and let's go ahead and start. So on the visual side, we'll start with visual, how I want the car to look, what I kind of envision long-term down the road. And first thing, and these are in no particular order, is paint correction, which will probably be done last visually, actually. But the car's paint condition, as you guys have seen in my videos, is it's a little bit worn. She needs a thorough paint correction service to really make her rock and roll. So that's on the list. The Getty base mount for the rear wing, I want to do a silicone bead around it. I'm waiting just to see kind of where I end up with all the parts on there and how I want to do that, whether I vinyl wrap or paint some aspects of it. So that'll be coming down the way, but I want to keep water out of the trunk deck internals just because they can go down there and go into some of the bolt holes. And so that'll just be a seal that I need to lay. I did on the backside already, want to do the front. The Getty Flares, I have those actually in already. So we have those, let's see, right here. Those will be sick. That's going to give the car a wide body stance, a little bit wide body stance. And quite honestly, I'm not a fan of the Pandem kits at all. I know a lot of people love those things. I don't like them. I think, I mean, they're cool, but I don't think they're as authentic to what the car could be from a performance perspective. And I think they look a little bit too ricey for me personally. I think the Getty fender flares, if done right, potentially glassed in or put in so that they're smooth contour, or if I do it with taste, depending on how we do that, just riveting them in will look really good. And I will keep these Apex EC7 RS or R wheels and make them fit properly. The gas cap, just broken. The little plastic tab in there on these cars, synonymous with always breaking and snapping off. So got to get one of those. Interior trim kit. I just hate the interior trim, the gray look on these. I have mine painted black with literally with a Plasti-Dip type covering. So I'll probably take that off eventually and do it right. Either do a carbon vinyl wrap or get them professionally painted black to match the car. Sparco or Momo steering wheel, quick release hub, using like an NRG hub or something like that, something similar. Once I get the harnesses in and the roll bar, then I'll do the steering wheel for safety reasons. Tow hook on the front, probably visual, hopefully never utility install. The Precision Porsche 991 GT3 front bumper kit from Precision Porsche. They are sick looking on these cars, and I've looked at a lot of front bumpers, and that is going to be by far my favorite one that will complement the look that I'm going for with the flares and the stance of the car and what the purpose is built for, and his quality and fit and finish seems to be incredible. So I'm gonna do that. I might get their matching rear bumper, their GT3 or GT, I think it's a GT3. It's their GT something rear bumper for this car as well, which cleans it up, puts a little bit of some cowlings and airflow dams on the back, and I think it looks a little bit more current in terms of the body lines. Just kind of bring this car into the next era. Even though it looks great as it is, it looks amazing with the Joe Toth stuff. Just like building stuff and changing things as I go. There's a guy, Fat Nguyen on Instagram. You guys have probably seen his 987, the white one. He tracks it. Unfortunately, it looks like he just had an engine issue with it. But his car is sick, and he has some custom uprights and an inner series wing that looks incredible on his car, and I want to go ahead and get them from him or wherever he got them made and match those eventually, because it really shapes out the look of the car. All right, moving on to handling and setup. As you guys know, I've got some stuff on the car already. Got some Öhlins road and track coilovers and some GT3 lower control arms. And I have solid engine mounts, some other little things in there. But Sparco seat that I'm sitting in, that has to go and get installed. I want to get a matching passenger seat. Eventually get like a 4 or 5 point harness. I forget which one's more relevant, but whichever one's FIA preferred or certified, so if I do a track day, I'll be ready to rock and roll. The OS is a Geekin LSD. I definitely want an LSD in the car. I know it's a little bit unnecessary to some extent, but every car I've owned that had a proper LSD in it drove dramatically better and just much more positive feel input and output, entering and exiting corners and putting power down. So I couldn't imagine this car without one. It should have one from the factory. Don't know why it doesn't, but that's one thing I'm going to get. With the Getty fender flares, the stance will be a lot wider. So I'm going to get the 11-inch rear wheels and leave the fronts with some spacers, probably like a 7 to 10 mil spacer on the front, as those should fit just nicely as they are. And the ones that are on there right now, I believe, are 10.5 rears. They may work, but we'll see with the offsets. I may have to get a different offset, but same color, same wheel. I love Apex wheels. Turret adjustable end links and toe and end links so that I can go ahead and set the car up exactly how it should be. Car's not balanced right now. The camber is roughly set up, probably not as ideal as it could be, so I want to get all that dialed in. Sway bars just to stiffen up the chassis. Not quite sure which ones I'm going to use, but there's a lot out there and I will sort through that, but I do want to get sway bars and just keep this thing on a flat driving plane through corners. And then I do want to trim down some weight. The car has a lot of unnecessary weight in the trunk and the frunk, as well as over the engine and all that stuff. So eventually maybe I'll get a clear plexiglass or glass see-through engine pane cover and just kind of deal with that stuff as it comes. Okay, now engine performance. First thing is the oil sump pan, the extended one to help with the oil cooling, or not oil cooling, I guess oil starvation issues that these cars experience under power on flat out corners with sticky tires. So I don't want that to happen. I want to go ahead and make sure this thing breathes well, so I will get that eventually. Don't mind some people doing some gardening outside. Third radiator will be something to be installed. That may or may not come with if I do force induction kit, so that'll be there eventually. Anti-gravity battery. Those are just super light. They're like, stock one's like, I think it's 40 or 50 pound battery. These ones range between, I believe it's like 11 to 19 pounds or so. So just shave some weight, way more power. I've noticed auxiliary light issues. My battery's probably getting a little old too, so just to update that. And then the engine itself, I'm not quite sure what I'll do. So it depends on the car, the longevity of the car, where it ends up when I get to this point in this stage. But I do want to either do a TPC turbo kit or an MRN twin turbo kit, or do a full engine build by like Jake Raby, I believe his name is. And not quite sure which direction I'm going to go. A lot will be dictated by where the car is condition wise when that becomes a conversation topic. So I figure, of course, I could go buy like, 911 or an older GT3 or even maybe a GT4 for, like high 70s, mid 70s on up into the 90s. But I'd prefer to just build what I want. And I love this chassis. I think it's cool. It's a cool car in the way that I envision building it. I think it'll look pretty cool and come together. And it's pretty cool that you guys are watching along, following along as the build continues, as I never ever would have thought I'd be building a Porsche Cayman S. It's like the most unlikely car for me if you knew all the cars that I had before. And I was just never attracted to them until I drove them. And man, they blow my mind. So definitely stuck on those. And yeah, other than that, the engine, I just want it to either be fairly reliable with good power output. When I say good power output, I'm hoping and aiming for like between 430 and 450 wheel horsepower would be bliss for me on this chassis. So if I can get the weight down a little bit and the power to about 430, 450 wheel, I'll be in heaven. This will be my dream car. A couple other things that I don't think I mentioned. I want a roll cage in this thing. Not sure which route I'm going to go, but probably something fairly minimal, but something that will still help for the harness setup for the seats. And a big brake kit. Eventually I'll probably do a Brembo or a Stop Tech kit on it and do steel braided lines just to clean up the braking power as the engine and power gets built. Rather have those ahead of power on the chassis. So that is a quick rundown of everything I'm thinking. If you guys actually watched that whole video, thank you. Don't mean to bore you, but those are the things I'm hoping to do. And hopefully you guys have an idea of what I'm kind of going for with this thing. If there's parts on the car that I'll be selling that you may want, let me know and we can figure it out. I'm not the fastest at getting things shipped out, but I'll make it happen. I actually got the fender flares from another YouTuber, which was awesome. He's building some cool cars too, and maybe he'll find them in the comments here if he wants to have you guys visit his channel too. But yeah, such a cool community. You guys are awesome for watching, and let me know what you think about what I kind of envision here. If there's some changes or tweaks you think may be way better suited for the car, or if you have suggestions. So thanks for watching and have a good one. Talk to you guys later.